Hi viewers, so let's start to the analysis for today. And by today, what I mean is the Friday's market action. Don't be confused. Actually, yesterday's video has been uploaded quite late. In fact, just 1 hour before. So that is actually yesterday's video, and I would really, tell you to go through that video because I discussed some things on valuations. Why I think Nifty should not cross the levels which I was talking about, and what are the risks which are coming into and. Uh, Broadly on a valuation perspective, where are we standing and how does the Nifty look like? Those aspects are spoken. So, if you want and if you have time, you can see yesterday's video also. This is the new video which I'm recording for today's analysis. So, we'll start with the broader markets first. I know what has happened in India, and we all are nervous due to expected action from India against Pakistan, or let's say on the terrorist. What happened in Pelgam, it is very unfortunate, and we really pray for the souls of departed souls of our fellow countrymen, and I think that is very, very gruesome and something which cannot be actually liked, or it actually calls for a lot of hatred, and it brings in a lot of discomfort, and it just raises our it just boils our blood when we see this kind of news and we hear this kind of things. Of course, I think Indian government is very sensitive. They are very mature, and yes, the all the country is in anger, but I think they'll be matured enough, they'll be responsible enough, and they'll take a very measured uh, action, which actually is acceptable in terms of global laws and whatever it is, and probably yet it would solve the purpose. So we have full faith in our government. We have full faith in our armed forces, and whatever will happen, it should happen. Let's say in the best way, which gives some kind of relief to the families of the departed souls. I don't know whether it happened or not, but at least when these kind of people gets their real, medicine of their own sorts, sometimes it gives you some relief at the back of the heart that at least those persons have been punished. But of course, it cannot relieve your pain. What the family is going through this, we have full sympathies to the families, and we all know that it's something which nobody can forget. So, having said this and seeing this in the context of our markets, market will remain nervous and market should remain nervous. The reason why I say this is because, uh, see, every such kind of event has a potential to turn into a war. So, we did some kind of retaliation in during Uri, and we were successful. We came back entering into POK, and we came back again, and nothing happened of that sort because we were able to give a lot of proofs. And yes, Pakistan also could not admit that those were terrorist camp because they always have told that they're not breeding any terrorist organizations in their country. We survived second time also when we actually did a airstrike uh, in Barakot, and probably survived that time as well. And the events didn't turn out to be a big war. But the markets always try to price in, or at least they stay nervous on the worst what can happen. Don't forget, we people have only investing some few lakhs here and there into the markets, but the bigger investors have 200 lakhs, 400 lakhs kind of crores, 200 lakh crores or 300 lakhs crore kind of investment into our country. And they will always remain nervous. They will always feel that they should be prepared for the worst. That is why the VIX was very high today. The VIX was very high today. And I suppose and I assume, and this is what the data is saying, that a lot of hedging has been taken by the FIs, and the markets were also nervous. I think the markets have entered into the series very light. Of course, the long short ratio has been 40%, and the rollovers have been pretty good. Less than last month, but still okay. I think the rollovers have been around 79% for Nifty and 76% for Bank Nifty. But the number of open interest, number of shares which are on open interest are very less. It's around 1.2 crore shares, which are lesser than the last month's figure also. So the market is lighter, even if the long short ratio is in the favor of longs, but the overall open interest is less, right? So the overall positions are less. To take it this way, so market is light, and market probably could have become more lighter today. I would assume that some of the wrong positions would have been sold off today. This is what I can assume, and I think for the balance positions, I think a lot of hedging has been taken into consideration. This is what I could sense out being the VIX and the market which was showing off. The real reason why the market is behaving this way is that probably they are afraid of any eventuality which can become too big, which we can think of. Yes, last two times we have been lucky that the events have not become so big, but you never know. Let's suppose last time when the air strikes happened. See, it was Imran Khan as a prime minister there, and the army was not in a position. They were having lack of resources. I think they were not having even ammunition for even 1 day or 2 day to launch a war. I think it could be similar in this way also. This time also, but even with that kind of ammunition, they have done a lot of damage to our land as well. Don't forget, we lost one or two aircrafts. We almost one of our pilots were captured, and then we had trouble in bringing them back. So it's not that the other country will not strike you at all. There can be damages, and which is what the government has to take care. So this feeling of nervousness will still be there, and who knows what kind of action will be taken, and what kind of retaliation the government is planning. But of course, there is something on the cards which is keeping the markets anyways nervous. And anyways, or let's say five actions have been anyway announced by India in terms of they cancelled the visas of the Pakistani nationals. They've been given 48 hours. SARC visa have been cancelled. The industry treaty has been suspended, and some other things have been done. Similar action has been taken by the Pakistan also. It's a tit for tat action what they have taken. So markets will remain nervous on these kind of activities because there's a potential to have a big geopolitical event into our country as well. But the recovery was also very good. So it is difficult now to say who led that recovery. The figures of the FIs and PIs are still not out, so I can't comment on that by making a video. But if those figures are out, we can judge who has done that recovery. So if it is only DIs who have bought and they have brought that recovery, then again I think the market could test the lows of today and eventually further. But if it is FIs who have bought the drop, for example, let's say traders would have given some positions, or let's say DIs would have given some positions, and the buying should have come from FIs, then I think the story will be different. So we don't know the figures as yet. What I would assume is, seeing the figure, that the long positions would have been trimmed, some shorts would have been also added, and for the balanced long positions, I think the hedging would have been taken. This is what I could assume seeing the overall matrix. But now let us combine what my yesterday's video was and into today's video and the earnings. So yesterday I've spoken a lot about the earnings in terms of banks, in terms of FMCG and IT. Three major pockets where we have got the results, and today we'll get Reliance. So Reliance, FMCG, IT, and banks will constitute around 70% of the basket, and it will give you a fair value of where the market should be in terms of valuations. Market at this juncture anyway could have been looking for some kind of a reason to sell off. I've already told you that according to me, if it's selling positions, then we actually, in fact, whatever we told, that was a high again, once again. So, and I'm not saying that I can predict the market very well. If FIs want to come into India based on TINA factor, and there will be a lot of flows, then I think the markets can go anywhere. Like we saw after the June elections in India, when the markets actually went 3,000 points up, being went 400 kind of a thing, and the P multiples went to 25, 24 times, 24, 25 times kind of P multiples. Can the market still reach those by P multiples? Yes, the P multiples can still reach there. But should it be going through those kind of P multiples? Answer is no. Why the answer is no? So yesterday also I discussed, banks have given you some kind of a let's say 12% kind of a credit growth. And I assume, of course, ICICI Bank is giving you 80% profit growth, but overall, I think banking industry will be able to give you 11-12% of banking growth, of profit growth for FY26. Now FY25 is over. So for FY26, we can assume around 12-13% of profit growth can come from banks, provided that we continue the credit growth of around 12-13%, which is the current credit growth. Don't forget, ICICI Bank credit growth this time has been a 60-quarter low. So banks can give you that kind of earnings growth. FMCG is negative, and they're continuously getting negative. And the projections they have done for next year is, for the balance year, is also negative. and they are seeing now the margins also getting under pressure. The reason is very simple, because of of course food is lower, that is helping the company, but the other ingredients are very costly. The tea prices have actually risen by around 100%, sorry, 30-40%. Coffee prices is almost double, they risen by 100%. And other palm oil, if you see, all those basic raw materials which goes into these FMCG products have all risen a lot, which will put pressure on the margins of these companies, because they cannot raise the prices because of the local competition that the companies are facing. The volume growth is anyways low. If they start increasing the prices, they cannot sustain. And if they maintain the same prices, because of the increased raw material price, their margin will be lesser. So FMCG में आपको growth नहीं मिलेगा, which means FMCG entire pocket will not give you above 10% kind of growth. IT, so forget at all whether the markets are good, whether US economy is good, bad, they will not give you that kind of growth of around 10% or so. It is very difficult to achieve that. So which is, and Reliance is also getting into trouble in terms of their uh, O2C business, where they are feeling some pressure on their margins. Let's see how the numbers come today. But as of predictions are saying 5% YoY decrease of profit for this year. Let's see how it comes. But mostly it is degrades only. So the earnings cycle is still into degradations more. So why I'm saying this is, whatever tariffs giving you a discount, whatever news it is coming, let's say India, Pakistan, whatever it is giving you a hint that probably if the markets are mature, if the markets will follow the earnings, then I think pretty much the rally is almost done for now. Considering whatever the earnings are, and I suggest and request, if you see my video of yesterday, where I discussed things in detail, I don't want to repeat those things once again, but considering the valuation point of view, I think the top has been made for this rally. What exactly should be the entry point of entry again to the markets? We keep on discussing it. But my overall feel is that the market should at least give 900 to 1000 points in this rally. Why I'm saying this is, so let's say we went around 24,350 at the high of this rally, approximately. We had a low of around 21,750 odd, right? If you decrease this, if you just subtract this, around comes to around 2600 points. Market should at least give you 33% of the gains. That's a general norm. Fibonacci series, Fibonacci retracement इसको हम बोलते हैं. But it is expected कि at least 33% of gains हम दे दें वापस. So it comes to around 900 points. So if you reduce 24,350 by 900 points, you reach around 23,450, 24,400, 2400 kind of levels. I think वहाँ market दोबारा पहुंचना चाहिए. By that time, I think would have seen the earnings also many of the companies, which is almost now done, at least Nifty companies. जहाँ तक बात है, and we are seeing a lot of downgrades. So वहाँ पे फिर हमें valuation point of view देखना पड़ेगा कि निफ्टी का एक real target क्या बनता है, and then we have to see what the markets can discount for next 2 months. See, market will actually be futuristic. अगर उनको लगेगा कि earnings growth के chances हैं, then they will discount those things earlier. Of course, liquidity push will also be there. जैसे अभी था, suddenly it became a China factor. China, they could not invest because tariffs were so high, and probably China, there was a risk of getting into a recession mode. Anyway, they're receding. US also became difficult to invest because what was going on by Mr. Trump. तो फिर पैसा डाले कहाँ पे? इंडिया के वैल्यूएशन बहुत कम थे उस टाइम पे. इंडिया वाज अ कंट्री वाज लीस्ट अफेक्टेड बाय tariffs. We were into RBI has taken all those actions. Dollar index are coming down, so it became a good recipe for the FIs to push a lot of money into India, which they did, and they earned profit. Now probably they would like to earn profit by shorting the markets. This is what my feel is. I may be wrong. And I mean, we really see the numbers of today. We feel some feel, because it's the first day of the series. So we get some feel what the FIs are trying to do in these markets. But overall, on the valuation perspective, I think 24,350 should not be broken going forwards. For a near term, I'm talking about. Let's say overall, eventually, yes, I've already yesterday also told you 21,000 should be, we will be able to reach there. But we'll be able to assess this completely once we see all the earnings into perspective, what the company's guidance have been, and what exactly we can make out for this FY26 and further for FY27. So we'll keep on analyzing those things. बट प्योरली ऑन द वैल्यूएशन पर्सपेक्टिव मेरे ख्याल से 24,350 इतनी आसानी से ब्रेक नहीं होना चाहिए. एंड आई गिव probably a call that you book your profits on at these levels. I was probably one of the first person to say that. So I give this kind of bold calls. I may be wrong somewhere. This is based on my analysis, based on whatever data I'm getting, and whatever I could see the charts and the valuation perspective. This is my with my limited thought. Somehow, if it is, gets right, it's right. If it's not, probably you can take your own wisdom. It is just my analysis telling that. So, मेरे ख्याल से we should give away at least 910 to 1,000 points on the Nifty, which means that we should reach at least one time to 2350. This is where the market will become lighter again, and that time the market will think कि मुझे कितना तेजी करना है और मेरे next levels क्या होगा. So we'll also be keeping our fingers crossed. And till that time, I think we'll be able to come out of this India-Pakistan some kind of confusion, or let's say what the actual fate would be, and then probably we can again rejudge in terms of how to become long, where to become long. As of now, we're sitting on cash, we're enjoying our cash because you sit on cash, and one thing I'll suggest you, which I do, as soon as I sit on cash, the money comes back from broker to my account, and I have done an automatic FD. Every day, 8 o'clock in the night, the money turns into FD. So I'm enjoying now FD returns, FD interest rate for the last 2-3 days. And if the market does not give me a chance, I can sit on my FD and make 8%. Fair enough. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with making 8%. See, अगर earnings growth आपकी 10% से कम होनी है और मुझे अगर 8% FD दे रहा है, so there is hardly any difference, right? Right? ठीक है, somebody may say on terms of capital gain tax and all those things, but vis-a-vis mathematically nothing is giving you any difference of that sort. So it's always better to sit on cash when you have this kind of dilemmas, when valuation is not giving you support. अब अगर liquidity can take the markets forward, if the factor continuously काम करे, then I can't say. But this is what the valuation says. Today also yesterday also we got the result of Tech Mahindra. Not very decent results, but market actually gave a thumbs up because of US getting better. SCL Tech, I thought numbers were very good, which we discussed yesterday also. But overall, all these companies are giving you negative kind of a growth, or very less single-digit growth for the entire financial year, which is FY26. We got results from cement company, which are again coming good, so that was one good factor which was supporting the market. So FMCG negative, IT negative, banks positive, but they cannot take the entire markets much upwards. And don't forget, banks and financials are now 40% of your index. So this is where we reach around 9 or 10% earnings growth for this FY26. If you want to discount FY27, which is too far, I don't think market will discount that. But even for that year also, I think we're looking for around 12-20% earnings growth for that financial year also. So this is where the entire metrics lies, and this is where you should take your overall view of the markets. Coming to the global markets, it's very difficult to judge the global market because every day the statements are changing. Trump is saying one thing, China is saying one thing. There is no amalgamation. There is no कोई उनका मिलाप नहीं हो रहा है. They both are still going divergent. I am not seeing anything which looks converging. It's all some statements here and there, but nothing active is happening on the ground. Actually, China has very categorically told that कोई meeting नहीं हुई है, कोई phone calls नहीं हुई है, nothing ever discussed on the trade war, tariff war as such. Europe, you're already silent. None of the trade deals have been finalized. Although yesterday Scott Bessent has given you has told that we are very close to signing the deal with India, and India was the first country where the deal will be signed. So with that perspective, you can see some Tina factor. Tina, by the way, there is no alternative. So we can see some Tina factor. Money can gush in into India, and that might happen. I am not denying that fact at all. अगर चाइना और अमेरिका का वॉर चलता रहता है, they don't come to a conclusion, then again we might see some money again flowing into India, and the markets will then reach 20,000 very soon. Very soon. As soon as they will get some clarity on India Pakistan, you will see the markets reaching to again 25,000 because of the Tina factor. Nothing else. Not because of valuations. You will be actually giving higher multiples with lesser growth. See, if you have visibility of 13-14% earnings growth, you can give a higher P multiple also. But if you don't have a visibility of higher earnings growth, then you can't give a higher P multiple. It's actually calling for shorting the market then, right? So we have to judge these things in that perspective and then take a call. So as of now, we're tracking all these things. Let's see how it pans out. On the weekend, we will also be we'll be looking into news on the weekends of what the two important factors which you should track now. One is forget about the dollar index, crude, those are one control. Rupee, dollar index, crude, all are in control and they will remain in control. So let's not focus there. I've been telling this last 10 15 days कि इसमें focus मत करो. In fact, मैं इसको बहुत से बात भी नहीं करूँ. Now we have to focus on what? We have to focus on what China and US are trying to do. क्या वहां पे एक डील हो रही है कि नहीं हो रही है? Are they moving solidly into convergence or not? Second thing is, can we expect one rate cut from Fed? जो कल का जो मार्केट मूवमेंट था, it was mostly because people are expecting one rate cut now in June meeting. People are expecting in May also. It is my doubts. I don't think Mr. Powell will be giving any rate cut in May. Data is not suggesting that, but a lot of Fed governors have started giving those kind of speeches now, which means that June में शायद हमें rate cut नजर आ जाए. So June rate cut, the market will try to price in those things. It will not help you anything. 0.25% ka rate cut is not helping you at all, at least on the Indian perspective. Don't forget, RBI has been already doing their own stuff. They're not taking US economy into account or dollar or tariff into account when they're taking decisions. Even when the uncertainty was the highest, even there was a lot of dilemma and many other things. RBI was continuously infusing liquidity. RBI has done 2 rate cuts. So RBI is continuously taking their own stand. Don't think that 0.25% increase or decrease of interest rate in US will actually benefit us too much. We are still penciling in 2 more rate cuts in India because of our benign inflation and the kind of growth we're expecting. हमको 2 rate cut India में definitely मिलेंगे, irrespective of whatever is going on in US. And don't forget, in spite of our rate cuts, in spite of our differential getting down between US interest rates and Indian interest rates, still our bond inflows are very good. हमें मार्च में भी मैसिव इन्फ्लोज मिले बॉन्ड के अंदर, अभी भी मिल रहे हैं बिकॉज ऑफ स्टेबिलिटी ऑफ इंडियन इकोनॉमी एंड मैक्रोस. तो हमारे पास बॉन्ड फ्लोज हो रहे हैं और वो होते रहेंगे. सो इन दैट पर्सपेक्टिव, लेट अस नॉट discuss about the rate cut. Yes, I mentioned those things because it might be some interest to you. So first factor we do track is convergence of US and China, how it happens and how much it happens. Second factor जो हमें देखना है, which is very important, is India Pakistan, how exactly things are shaping up. क्या वो एक बड़ा इवेंट तो नहीं बन रहा है? Two things are very important. Based on these two things, we have to see कि FIs का पैसा आएगा या जाएगा, right? So if US and China is not getting solved, but you get some clarity on India Pakistan, there'll be a TINA factor, money will start flowing in India. They'll forget about valuations then. जब FIs पैसा डालते हैं मार्केट में, तो they forget about valuations. Reason is very simple. वो long positions बनाते हैं, वो स्टॉक खरीदते हैं, but the actual profit they earn is in futures and options. They get their money from derivatives instrument rather than on their stocks. और वो जानते हैं कि they are the only sellers in this country. अगर वो buy करेंगे तो little buying also they can take the index to a much higher level. अभी भी क्या हुआ है 21,700 से और हम जब पहुंचे हैं 24,350, it has taken them only around 35,000 crores of cash buying. That's all, nothing more than that. गिराने के लिए 2.5 लाख करोड़ लगा था. 26,000 से 22,000 आने में we spent 2.5 lakh crores. That was the amount of selling only in January, February. Forgot about October to December of last year, right? If you combine all these things, it was around 4 lakh crore of selling, which brought the markets down to those levels. And when you were up for 2,600 points, it took you just 35,000 crores of rupees. If you add yesterday's amount of 8,000, it's a 40,000 crores. That's all. Although yesterday was an expiry thing, but yeah, numbers are numbers. So just 40,000 crores can give you 2,600 points. But imagine they have to sell 4 lakh crores to reach to those kind of levels in Nifty, which they did last year. So अगर flow आएगा, TINA factor होगा, तो if US and China converging and India and Pakistan में कुछ clarity आता है, then there will be TINA factor and money will start gushing in. And then the Nifty levels will touch at least 24,800, जहाँ पे हमारा पहले टॉप बना था in the Maharashtra elections. वहां तक हम जा रहे हैं फॉर श्योर। अगर यूएस और चाइना सेटल होता है, then there is no Tina factor, then the market will actually, what they will do, they will try to see the valuations and they will only invest in the company जहाँ valuation में comfort है। we will not see some kind of obnoxious buying here and there। फिर मार्केट मेच्योरली बिहेव करेगा और जहां पे आपको पैसा डालना चाहिए वहां डालेगा, जहां निकलना चाहिए वहां निकलेगा। बिहेव इन अ मेच्योरली वे, कीपिंग वैल्यूएशंस इनटू पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, राइट? But if US and China don't converge, and you see India and China, India and Pakistan getting some kind of, sorry, India and US and China converging, but there is no clarity on India and Pakistan, then you will see massive sell-off. इंडिया पाकिस्तान में कोई क्लैरिटी नहीं है और यूएस और चाइना कन्वर्ज कर रहे होंगे, then there is no Tina factor. You will see a lot of opportunity because Japan has been slaughtered a lot. China, there's a lot of, anyway China हमेशा रूम रहता है ये for stock market because their valuations are very very cheap anyways। यूएस के अंदर भी वो एक वो बन जाएगा, एक लेग ऑफ रैली बन जाएगी वहां के ऊपर भी। So you will have markets to invest, and again some people will go into bonds and gold and all those things। So वो फैक्टर फिर काम करेगा, यू विल सी मनी आउटफ्लो फ्रॉम इंडिया, और फिर हम उसका दोबारा हम we touch those kind of 23,000 levels or 2250 levels again। So that's the second scenario। इन्हीं दो सिनेरियो में आपको बस दिमाग लगाना है और कुछ भी दिमाग नहीं लगाना। डॉलर इंडेक्स भूल जाइए आप, भूल जाइए आप, रुपी भूल जाइए आप, बॉन्ड यील्ड भूल जाइए आप, forget about all these factors, इन्फ्लेशन भी सब भूल जाइए, all things are under control, nothing is away from us। रिजल्ट्स हमारे आ चुके हैं, मैंने आपको बता दिया है। FMCG is negative in terms of volume growth, and they will not contribute anything substantially on the profit growth of earnings for FY26। Banks will contribute around 12-13% अगर वो कर पाए तो for FY26। Although on that base 12% will also be a good growth। IT will not contribute, so and Reliance will also be subdued। So this is 70% of Nifty। तो Nifty की earnings growth आपकी around 10% ही रहनी चाहिए। So we are not going too high in terms of valuation point of view, right? So in scenarios को आप ध्यान में रखिए, this is how you should trade your markets। Profit हमने already book कर लिया है, we are waiting for the entry into the market। तो या तो हम बहुत नीचे एंटर करेंगे where we get comfort in terms of valuations, or if there is a money flowing in too much, then we will only enter the markets once you cross 24,350। जो हमारा रेजिस्टेंस था, जब उसके ऊपर हम क्लोज देना शुरू करेंगे या उसके ऊपर ट्रेड करना शुरू करेंगे, then we'll again enter into the markets। So if there be a lot of Tina factor and a lot of money gush, we'll enter beyond 24,350 and we'll play at least to 24,800 to 25,000 rally, right? अगर मार्केट को पैसा निकलना है और एफआई सेलिंग करनी है, then we'll wait for levels जहाँ पे हमारे वैल्यूएशन अट्रैक्टिव हो जाएंगे, so that we have a chance of FIs coming back at some point of time whenever they have more clarity or whenever their dynamics in terms of all global markets is becoming easier and approachable, and it's becoming making sense to them। जब वैल्यूएशन कंफर्ट रहेगा तो हम खुल के बोल सकते हैं कहाँ जाएंगे यहीं आएंगे, राइट? जैसे लास्ट टाइम हुआ था, कहाँ जाएंगे यहीं आएंगे। अब वो कहना अभी मुश्किल है because things are slightly stuck here and there, right? So work on these two options, or let's say the scenarios। Of course, I'll be there every day and any day to come and give my evaluation and my thought on the world markets। This is what I've been doing so much, and I hope it is helping you. It's helping me also a lot because this way I'm able to collide my thoughts, I'm able to assemble my thoughts and make a strategy for myself as well। So thank you so much for watching this video। I hope you would have liked it, and thank you for your time. Thanks so much।